Hey guys, this is Courtney from Cosmic Clarity Astrology, and today we're going to be talking about the Gemini New Moon happening on June 6th. This is an exciting one for me because it's happening right around my birthday and right on my sun, and it seems like a significant point in time. So I'm excited to discuss that with you guys. So this is a new moon in Gemini, which means the sun and the moon are both at 16 degrees of Gemini. Gemini has a mutable energy, which basically means that it's adaptable, it's changeable, it's a sign of transition, like the other mutable signs, where we are in a season that's kind of between seasons, like a little bit of spring, a little bit of summer. That's Gemini. And so that's the energy that we are embodying at this time, this kind of changeable, adaptable type of energy. So things can be happening around this new moon that move quite quickly or unexpectedly. They might take shape in ways that, again, are a lot faster or in different ways than you thought, and it is requiring you to adapt to the situation. What's interesting about this new moon, though, is that Venus is exactly conjunct the sun. The last time this happened was back in August of 2023, and there's something called a Venus cycle, which basically means that there are going to be these check-in points that Venus has with the sun. The sun is the king of the zodiac. He is the planet that dictates what everybody does, what their mission is as planets, and how to move forward. So in August of 2023, the Venus first came into contact with the sun to get its original mission, to be sent out on its journey. And right now, on June 6th, it's meeting up with the sun again at like a midpoint, a check-in, a review. How is your mission going? What is going on in regards to the things that you started back in August of 2023? So for many people, this can involve Venusian topics, which is, of course, around love, around money, relationships, things that you value, your own self-worth, image, beauty, your own aesthetics. Those are the more common Venus topics, and women, of course, because Venus rules over women. So if there was something back in August of 2023 that you started, you might start to see it come full circle, or maybe not entirely full circle, but you might see some major progress or check in around that thing that was realized, initiated, or thought about, or maybe you created an intention around it. I feel like you're going to have some evidence of that developing at the time of this new moon. I do have an example, but it's a little personal, so I don't think I'm going to share it. But in general, I feel like there is a theme that very strongly carries over from that August 2023 time till now. So I'd love to hear in the comments down below what has transpired for you between these 2 points in time. So this is supposed to bring you clarity, and specifically, typically clarity around what needs to be done still in that area of our life, like what work is left over and what have you already accomplished. And so this is generally a very positive time for the most part because Venus tends to bring blessings. However, unfortunately, this moon is squaring Saturn, and so that does tend to bring the energy down a little bit. And so otherwise it'd be super uplifting, very positive, but the Saturn energy kind of checks us, and I'll talk about what that means. But generally, Saturn or Venus on this new moon can indicate new beginnings in relationships, new beginning in our self-worth and our relationship with ourself, new beginnings in our financial life and what we value. And with this being in Gemini, it's a lot around what we think. Gemini is a Mercury-ruled sign. It's about our thought processes. It's about communication, opening up, having ideas, and adapting and changing to new environments or new things that can come forward at this time. So there might be things that you realize or that come to pass that update your perspective on relationships or update your path when it comes to finances and the way that you think about them, talk about them, relate to them, and all of that. What is challenging, again, is a square to Saturn, because Saturn can tend to bring in the fear. It can bring in the doubt, the insecurities. It can bring stuff up from the past. It can bring up grief as well. So there's a lot, but I'm just going to kind of list off how Saturn affects this. So even though we're creating these these updates when it comes to our either relationships, money, self-worth, or self-image and our beauty. And we're having this beautiful check-in, and we're adapting, and we're making sure that we are making the progress that we want. And if we're not, we're making the changes that we need to make. All those things are happening, but Saturn is over here applying pressure and kind of sometimes judging the process. So one of the things that we need to be aware of with Saturn is the difference between judgment and discernment, because Saturn is a very helpful energy that can ground us into reality and help us navigate practical pitfalls or things that we need to consider that is a literal part of reality. But if we go into excessive Saturn and we base things off of opinions, then we can turn Saturn into a planet of judgment and criticism. And so you might be updating your viewpoint or having new happenings in regards to money or relationships that you may also be judging, or you might also bring like baggage and fear along with it. And so the Saturn energy wants you to, again, use discernment instead of that judgment. So look at the facts, look at the data, also looking inward at ourselves to see what we're bringing to the table in terms of, wounds or uncertainties, like what preconceived beliefs and notions are we carrying forward that could be distorting the picture of reality. So Saturn can help us work with that. The ruler of this moon, Mercury, is also making a trine to Pluto. Mercury and Jupiter are together in the sky making a trine to Pluto. And I think that this element also really helps us become more self-aware and self-reflective. And then from that space, Saturn can help mine out the data and look at what is useful and, again, contributes to some level of discernment. So really understanding how to make a wise decision and not a decision based off of fear or criticism. So just know that that's really important at this time. And that's also true for ourselves, because Venus wants to promote connection, especially in Gemini. This is an extremely sociable new moon. So it's generally about us like putting ourselves out there, maybe meeting new people, going to new events, trying new things, maybe even traveling. And that is something that's definitely traveling is really emphasized with Mercury and Jupiter together in the sky in Gemini. So all those things are really encouraged, but then Saturn can come in here and create that fear of like, maybe I shouldn't be vulnerable. Maybe what I'm saying is stupid. Maybe I should suppress how I'm feeling or not say what I just thought. And it's like it's the self-censorship and the self-criticism coming into play that can actually step between connection when this is a period of time meant to promote connection. And so Saturn is really coming in here as a lesson to help us spot where we have some excess or some extra inner work to do around our open-mindedness, our ability to remain open-hearted and try to connect with others and value ourselves in that process. And it's not just about connecting with others, it's also about financially valuing yourself as well, because Saturn can come in here and say, no, you don't deserve that money, like spend it over here, or, you need to save a bunch of it. It's like, Saturn doesn't really tell you to spend, but it will make you feel like you don't deserve what you have. And so sometimes that thought process can lead to spending what you have because you feel unworthy of it. And it's an unconscious process. Other times Saturn can make you feel like you don't have enough, and it can really focus on the lack, and from that vantage point, you can really hoard away your money, but never feel like satisfied or never feel like you have what you need. And so regardless, there's a lack or fear mentality that can really come in with Saturn that prohibits the natural flow of energy between people, within ourselves, with money, the circulation of money. It can come in here and inhibit the flow. In medical astrology, Saturn literally is known for like freezing and stiffening and blocking the flow of things. So you can see that happening energetically here as well. And because Saturn is in Pisces, it can bring up things that are related to the past. Saturn inherently can, but things that we maybe haven't thought about in a second. And so Pisces has a lot to do with like attachment versus detachment, losing things or not having control over things. And so those themes can come up as well, where there may be things that we have to detach from that we've lost, or that we have to process our feelings around from things that are outside of our control. And I think that could be difficult for us at this time because Mars and Chiron are together, and Mars in particular is squaring Pluto. I'm very familiar with a lot of these placements because I have these natally. This birth chart's similar to mine. But Mars squaring Pluto really wants to like hold on to some level of control. When I was imagining this placement, I was seeing somebody struggling to grasp onto something, and they're like shaking and they don't want to let it go, and they're just trying to feel like they have a hold over something out of fear, right? A fear of loss, fear that there's not enough, fear that something's going to happen to them if they let go. And in general, I feel that this energy of surrender with Saturn and Pisces may again be kind of hard to come by because of Mars square Pluto. And one of the best things that we can do at this time is ask ourselves what needs to be sacrificed, because Mars is often about endings. Saturn is often about endings, and Pluto can have to deal with death and transformation. So there's something in this process of getting the new thing that we want related to love, to money, to connection, to our self-worth, to our beauty and our aesthetics. There's something related to this new beginning that we have to also sacrifice something in order for that to happen. So maybe you sacrifice your attachment to sweet foods. Maybe you are sacrificing your really high expectations or this like very narrowed viewpoint of who your partner would be. Maybe you're sacrificing doing certain things in your life that make your life easier because you want to save money and because you want to build up your net worth. So there's something here where it's like we have to give something up in the name of the big picture or the long term. And Mercury, the ruler of this new moon, is next to Jupiter. So it will help us stay in tune with what is that big picture? What is that long-term vision? It will help us also make meaning out of this situation. So if we're finding that we're having to sacrifice something, or we're having to understand ourselves and kind of process what's things that we've lost or things from the past, or if we have to process our fear of vulnerability or emotions that we've repressed, a lot of this can come from a higher perspective with Mercury and Jupiter together, where we can make sense of it from a soul perspective. We're like, okay, that is why I'm processing this. That is why I'm giving this up. This is the meaning of this. This is the reason or purpose for this. And it can make it feel a lot easier to move through things because of that. Okay. One of the things that Venus wants us to do with this being conjunct the moon is restore balance and harmony. And this could be in any area of life. So this could be you restoring balance within your health, within your relationships, within your work versus your social life. And I think that's probably like the most emblematic of this, because of the square to Saturn is a little bit of this push and pull between, the work versus how much we're seeing people, the spending and the pleasure and the doing what we want versus the saving and the preparing for the future and being more like austere. And so, yeah, I definitely feel like we're kind of trying to come into that balance right now, where we're trying to restore harmony into some area of our life, likely work, social balance. And so given that, knowing that, what do you need to do to make the necessary changes to restore that balance in your life? One of the things that I think can come out with so much energy in Gemini, so many planets, we have Venus, the Sun, Moon, Mercury, and Jupiter all in Gemini. This would be called a stellium, where it's a planetary pileup. So with so many planets in Gemini, one of the negative effects of it is excess mutable energy, which is like the chameleon, the shapeshifter, the elusive one, the person who adapts to their environment so much so that they kind of lose that sense of integrity, or they lose like what makes them them. And this could look like this could happen to all of us. This could look like, having trouble sticking to a plan that or commitment that you made with somebody, or, feeling like you are experimenting so much or trying so many things that you're not as focused and knowing where to put your energy. Or maybe you're non-committal and refuse to be defined, and like this kind of slippery, elusive, like can't catch me type of nature where, you're saying the things that will please certain people socially, but then you go to another group and you say things there that please them socially. And it's like, where is the solid ground? Where is my sense of self? Where is, again, that integrity, that thing that I'm rooted to? And so I think that is an issue here. And if some of us struggle with that, like I do sometimes, I can be very distracted, then this square with Saturn is going to apply pressure, and it's going to ask you to rally the troops and try to think about the long-term consequences of not having a solid ground, of constantly shape-shifting, of constantly moving here or there, traveling so much, or always socializing, or always being busy, always being stimulated, always trying to do more stuff, take on more tasks, and dispersing the focus and the power of your energy. And the Saturn energy is going to, again, apply this pressure and ask you, is that going to get you where you want to go? Do you feel stable like this? Is this creating ill health? Is this creating any imbalance in your work or your life in any other way? And so if that is the case for you, I think you'll feel that kind of exacerbated at this time, just so that it can draw attention to where there needs to be more rootedness and groundedness during this period of time. Okay. Is there anything else I want to say? I do think it's possible that there could be some stuff coming up around like old relationships, because Venus squaring Saturn, it tends to, Venus is a relationship planet. Saturn is a planet that often can bring up stuff from the past. So I do think that it's possible that there could be relationship endings that make the way for new beginnings, or you could be starting a new relationship or a new endeavor in your life that brings up something that felt similar in the past or that was more recent. And so I think that is possible at this time. And with Mars squaring Pluto, there's a little bit of like a savage energy here with this. Like this can be a little bit more ruthless, of like, okay, I want to avenge, this situation, or I feel like I've been egoically hurt with Mars and Chiron so close together. Still, it's like, okay, I feel like I've been hurt, my ego and my pride, and so now I want like things to be fair. I want my revenge. I want my justice. I feel rejected. I feel fragile. And so if there is old stuff around relationships, again, it could really kind of like draw the drama to the surface, the emotional drama. Whether or not it actually plays out in the real life is another story, but this could be somebody's internal process during this time. Like if one person moves on and another person doesn't, for example, or if there was just something that was like, that you felt slighted from in the past, it could get brought back up, and it's like, oh, I want things to be fair. I want this justice here. So there could be some kind of messier emotions that can come with, Mars and Chiron square Pluto. And with so much Gemini energy, I'd be curious to see like how these things are communicated, if they are shared at all. But generally, because Venus is on the sun and the moon, it is focusing us towards restoring balance, restoring harmony, repairing the things from the past, releasing and sacrificing the things that are getting in the way of our harmony and balance and our connection. And I think ultimately, again, really checking in with what we started back in August and to see if we're making progress with that. Because I think that's the biggest kind of mission for this new moon at this time. So I think that's all I want to say for now. If you guys resonate with this, or if you guys want to share with me what happened for you back in August, I would love to hear your messages in the comments down below. You can also find the links to all of your sun and rising signs in the description box down below. And if you want a reading from me, you can also check out my website there. So I hope you guys have a beautiful day. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, and I'll see you later.